So I can use the YouTube app to record a short video and it uploads right away with, I don't even know if it saves it to my phone. I'm trying to figure out like a process for making these videos where it doesn't suck. And, you know, if you have a bunch of videos all saved to your phone, like you gotta either find them and delete them or it fills up your phone and then you can't take pictures and shit. So that's just a whole chore. I hope they're not saving all those shorts to my phone. It might actually. I'll have to check into that. But so this is a horizontal aspect ratio video, and I'm recording a video with my normal phone's camera app, and I'm saving it to my phone that I now have to upload. I was able to go live previously, at least I thought. Maybe Twitter's the way to go, although Twitter's streaming quality and the audio desyncs and stuff is just garbage. But I want to be able to vlog. I want to be able to just post this shit out there, and in case I kill myself or get hit by a truck, it will be on the internet forever. So why am I recording this video? Well, there's a million things I could say. I've already said all of them on this channel or the other one that I have. And I probably should organize my shit better. It's like I've been trying and failing to get started on YouTube, and I mean, I'm not really doing a good job of it. I thought maybe I could just sit in my chair and record little videos like this, and if I post enough of them, maybe somebody will see them. Tried adding little titles to them, trying to, try different topics and lengths and all kinds of different things, and nothing works. The problem is nobody sees them. So also people are used to seeing this very engaging content where it's either some crazy shit or something funny or stupid or whatever. So having a guy sit in his chair talking is probably boring for most people, and I agree. This is probably bored your fucking brain out. And yeah, so why am I doing it? I don't know. Got a lot to say, but without an audience it sucks. I'm sure if anyone ever watches this video, you might think about creating content, posting videos online, and I don't know, maybe someday the social networks won't be so antisocial. I think there's millions of people trying and failing to socialize on these social networks because you need an audience. And I have more followers, like family and friends on Facebook, that I could try to tap into, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to bother people and bring my toxic negativity on the people I know, so that when I see them in real life, I have to deal with the shit that I'm trying to do on the internet. But so now I have more than 3 minutes to talk. The YouTube shorts that I've been doing are limited to 3 minutes. So what do I say? I mean, it's more like, where do I start? There's a million things I could say. And so one of the big problems with YouTube and this whole content, this kind of like improv content strategy that I'm trying, is it's not very organized. Now, I mean, I guess this is a problem with YouTube in general. There's literally millions and millions of videos, and some of these videos are, very high production, edited, very a lot of content, a lot of little clips, 3 clips per second for hours, and so all this content, all these videos get buried on YouTube. And the way YouTube works is unless it's somehow kind of beats the algorithm, which is a fair amount of videos do this. If it's a good video, good topic, good content, people like it, this is what YouTube does, is it finds these good videos, and then, if people like it enough, then it'll show it, and it'll kind of like live on, like the video survives the test of time. And but that's like 1% of video, less than 1% of videos. Most videos that people are posting, like this bullshit, just get buried. I was just watching some guy had a YouTube video about his first YouTube paycheck. He said he started a year ago and he was making $500 to $2,000 a month from some clips channel. I think he's clipping, I don't know if he's clipping video, like movies or other people's social media content or what exactly he's doing. And at first he said he was demonetized for doing that, which, I don't know, all the rules of like what you're allowed to do when it comes to music and clipping and free use or fair use and all this bullshit. It's such a fucking, it's a trap. It's like there's just too many. I've tested shit endlessly, and it's like that's the best way to do it usually, is like you don't really know. You can Google it and you can try and read shit, and it's not clear what you're allowed to do because you read one thing, you're like, oh, you can't do that, and then you see people doing it, and it's like, what the fuck? It's so confusing and annoying, and so then you have to test it, and then you find out how it works, and it's often buggy and stupid and just like. Life sucks, guys. It's just so bad, and I hate it, and I've been praying for death. If I died at any point, like, it would be the biggest relief for me. I'm so tired of living this life and trying to do stupid shit like this. Like, I was a web developer. I've tried design and video and content, and I've posted shit and boosted it with ads on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and Google banner ads. I mean, I've done all kinds of shit, and most of it are like these bad ideas that are half-baked because that's all I can muster. It's like I think and I plan and I take notes and I try and scheme things and make a better effort and actually build a course, teach people how to do something. I've literally planned hundreds, if not thousands, of different little things that I could do. And the problem is that, like, if you try and make money with it, it's got to be really good. And then it's like, how good does it need to be? And it's just the amount of time that it takes. I just haven't had the energy, the focus to stick it through and finish something. And then the alternative is you can post it for free, but it's like anytime I've spent any amount of time and effort into making something that is less like just bullshit, turn on the camera and push record. Every time I edit something or whatever, or do this, I mean, I've never gotten any kind of positive response on social media, on Twitter, on YouTube, none of them. And so it's such a miserable experience. It's like I feel like every once in a while I'll get this little, ounce of motivation and be like, yes, maybe this will work. Maybe I can just, record something and put it out there and get over my fear of being, looking like an idiot on the internet, and maybe it'll work. And it doesn't. And it's depressing as fuck because nobody sees it and nobody cares. The few people who see this shit don't care. So nobody's watching me right now talk to my camera phone. And so that's my life. But I guess this is a vlog, so what else is on my mind? Somebody suggested she talked to a therapist yesterday, and it's like, I probably should. I hate my life. I want to give up. I've wanted to give up so bad, but I can't because I have kids, and like I'm barely hanging on, and it's just every day is miserable. Today's my mom's 70th birthday, so I thought about calling her, but I don't really get along. It's not that I don't get along, it's not like it's bad experience with my mom. It's just we usually we've kind of gotten to a point where I don't know, I don't talk to her that much, and she comes to visit the kids every once in a while, and it's not bad, but like we've gotten into so many arguments about so much stupid shit. It's just I just have decided not to try and talk to her about things, and I think it's kind of mutual. It's just like can't really get along, so we're not gonna try and do that, and I guess it works. But anyway, so it's my mom's 70th birthday, and I should call her, but I don't want to tell her that I want to kill myself again, and that's all that's on my mind. Like I just want to get out of this place. So I've recorded these videos before, and I don't know if I've uploaded any of them. I have a million videos like this that I've thought about uploading. In fact, this one is not live streaming, so it's not. I could decide not to upload it. In fact, I probably should, as I have in the past, because it's not going to do any good. But in 11 minutes, it's going to take a while to upload and kill my phone battery. So this life is fucking stupid. If anyone ever sees this, it's rigged. It's a spiritual game. We don't know where we come from, where our spirits originate, what they are in essence. Is it a video game of some kind? It's a lot of arrows pointing in that direction, but we don't know. Our DNA is old as fuck. Viruses and bacteria have DNA, and DNA are little microscopic machines and code. Computer programs, essentially, that run everything that we are and do, and that's just fucking crazy because, I mean, we've just recently created computers, and yet we are computers at the most fundamental microscopic level, and those little DNA machines that zip and unzip the DNA, it's like something crazy going on here, folks. Are there aliens involved? Probably. Are we aliens from the future? Probably. Are we going back in time to this primitive era to learn how smartphones and computers and AI work and how they originated and develop and all of these things? Probably. It's probably some sort of learning simulation. Maybe it's real. I want to hold my phone with this hand, but my fucking hand is blocking the thing. I guess I'll just do this. So, I think I have massive potential. I try to position myself in a way where I could learn the useful things. People say, invest in yourself, never stop learning, use your time wisely. Like, I did all these things for so long. I got into web development because I saw how much potential there was with websites. I'd always kind of dabbled with code, but never really figured it out until I was doing sales for Comcast on a 100% commission basis after college, and that sucked ass, so I quit. I was living at my mom's house and learned to code and moved to Chicago and got a job and knocked up my girlfriend, and she made twice as much as me, so I decided to stay at home and work on my side projects. It was 10 years ago. Became a stay-at-home dad, changed a lot of diapers, and started playing video games 3 or 4 years ago to just kind of escape from the madness, because after so much coffee and cannabis and all the other things I'd use to motivate myself to keep working on my code, it's such a fucking stupid game, okay? It's like, when I would get in the zone, I could fix things, make progress, the code would get better, I'd see the hope, the vision. And that was, usually fueled by coffee and often cannabis. And when I was in the zone, everything was great. We were on target. I was, making progress. It was only a matter of time before I finished and made something useful with my web framework and, maybe start a company and whatnot. Well, the problem is that, artificially fueled coffee and cannabis are not sustainable. I mean, they are very sustainable for years. I mean, I did it for years and it worked, sort of. But it's like this double-edged sword where it like helps you for an hour, really helps you for an hour, but then, the next hour is pretty much back to normal, and then the rest of the day is pretty much just fuzzy and like kind of useless. And so that was just a bad game. I mean, the only way I could motivate myself to work was to elevate my mind, and I would, but I wasn't in full control over it. It was often like the cannabis would kind of like help the creative energy flow, but it also is very like chaotic and scattered, so that I'd get distracted by different ideas that seemed like good ideas at the time. So I did that for 10 years, and here I am. Tried so many things, failed at so many things. It is depressing. And I mean, I struggled with ideas of suicide when I was a teenager, because like my life has never been particularly good. Like, always escaped from life in one way or another. First it was video games, then it was drinking and drugs, and then it was work, but still with drinking and drugs. And well, so I've said earlier that I feel like I have massive potential. I feel like I have Elon Musk level potential. That's like create many billion-dollar companies, and it's not hard to do. If you get into software design and development, and there's so many areas. Like, there's no good content management system. WordPress still is the reigning king of the internet for whatever stupid goddamn reason. And there's a lot of competitors, but nobody's cracked the code to be like, let's make something it's probably got to be open source. That's the biggest problem that a lot of companies fail to realize, is that you can make it open source and still make money. Getting into, I don't know, talks about coding and software, it's like, if the wrong audience is listening up into this point, you may or may not be interested in that. And so I have this decision to be like, do I talk to the average person, or do I go down a rabbit hole with software? But, well, if you don't know what open source software is, you should. It means the code that runs the software is published, and so you can read through every line of code, and you can see everything that it does and why it does it, and if it's sending your personal data to China, and all of these things. And so it's it's not like you can't bypass. Just because you have your code on GitHub doesn't mean you're actually compiling the application from that code. So it's not like it's a fail-safe process, but it's a good starting point. Anyway, so yeah, there's so many ways to make money with software. But life's a bitch, and it helps you sometimes just a little bit to get yourself, stuck in a trap, and then you're just fucked. So give up. It's literally not worth it. If you're not successful already, you can try, but like, it's a trap. I think that it's like one of those carnival games. Like, it looks like it's possible, even looks easy. Like, oh yeah, I can do that. Sure, why not? But the way it's designed is to be rigged. Well, carnival games aren't really rigged. They're just like deceptively hard. But in real life, your spiritual energy is not under your control. Whether you wake up feeling like shit or feeling ready to take on the day is not under your control. I mean, maybe if you're drinking hard the night before, it is a little bit, but whether you have energy to work on something, whether you have the focus to stick with it when you can't seem to figure out the problem at hand, and whether your solutions that you attempt to, like whether you're even capable of solving the problem at hand, these are all things that are relatively out of your control. I mean, you can argue with me, you can think that you're in full control of everything that you do and think and whatever, but at the end of the day, obviously you're not. It's we're biological machines, and We don't really know how and why they work. But deeper than that, inside your brain is your spirit, and the thing behind your eyeballs that does the seeing and thinking and feeling. It's not just your brain. It can't just be your brain. At least logically, it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense that it's just your brain. There's most likely something very small and, a strange, mysterious energy source that is the spirit that's kind of driving the brain. I think the brain needs a driver. It can't drive itself. But that's kind of a, recursive problem. Well, what drives the spirit? And nobody knows. But it's rigged. I mean, the brain and the biological matter that we are, I think, is all part of the machine system that was designed by whoever brought us here and whoever's kind of running this show. And I mean, it seems like they don't actually have physical control over everything. Like maybe the only divine intervention, or supernatural intervention from the spiritual world is spiritual. And it might kind of make sense that that's the best they can do is, like if you're a spirit, you can't really move mountains unless, you're like some sort of magical wizard or something. But anyway, so what was I saying? It's rigged. The way that the mind and spirit interact so that, we produce these experiences and live our lives and struggles and pain and pleasure and all the good and bad. It's a mystery. We don't really know how it works. People have been asking these questions since the beginning of time, and there's no good answers to them. So when life sucks day after day and you try and fail day after day and you get the impression that it's not that I'm not putting forth the right amount of effort, it's that partly it's that my body and brain just aren't capable of doing it, but it's not really that my spirit is the problem. It's like my spirit has very little control over anything. It's like I'm pretty much just receiving thoughts and either rubber stamping them or vetoing them. It's like I can't just draw up inspiration out of my own brain. It happens frequently. I get inspiration, but it's not me that's like doing it. It just happens. And so it's out of my control. And that's kind of bullshit. It's like, come on, brain, like, why don't we work together here and do something useful with our life before I completely lose it and shoot myself in the face? So when you live this miserable existence where you're just drinking to numb the pain and you wish you wouldn't wake up in the morning and you want to kill yourself, but you can't because like it's not easy to do, and shooting yourself in the face probably takes some courage to actually pull the trigger. Jumping off a building seems like a terrible way to die. You'd probably just like have all this panic right before you hit the ground, and just I can't imagine even doing that. I've tried, but I drank a bunch and passed out instead of jumping. Tried to slit my wrist, but that's really hard. You need either a really sharp knife. My pocket knife wasn't sharp enough. My skin just turned to like jelly and kind of moved out of the way. It was weird. I wasn't really cutting that hard because it was a weird experience, but like anyway, I've tried to kill myself a couple times and it was miserable efforts. I'm bad. I failed at even that. Failed at trying to kill myself. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there. In fact, I've gone to the Suicide Watch Reddit in the past, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people posting on there, and that's like the tip of the iceberg. There's millions of people who are feeling this way, and it's when you see happy people, like all these successful people on YouTube, and like just especially the bad ones where they're just doing the stupidest shit. It's like it's rigged, man. I honestly think that all the software is just part of this rigged, show. It's like somebody's got the admin codes to the game and they're selling like experiences. So like if you want to be Taylor Swift, you pay some money and bam, you're Taylor Swift. Like it seems like a bullshit carny ride, and some people are paying to win, and I guess I didn't pay for the premium package in this game of life, and so I'm just like being shat on, even though I have massive potential. And I think it almost feels like the game knows that have the potential, but I mean, then again, if you were to count the number of web designers and developers in the world right now, it's at least from what the internet shows, there's billions of them. Like, it's not hard to find web designers and developers. And so, and software engineers and software architects and all these people that are like highly specialized in creating web apps. And there's thousands of web apps. And in fact, probably millions of web apps, companies, unicorns, millions and billion-dollar companies that have sprung up everywhere for doing all kinds of stupid software shit. And the end of all of that stupid shit is obviously a unified software system, so that like your web program can run on your phone and your phone program can run on your desktop, and it's like one program, and you don't have PHP and Ruby and all these different backend. I mean, people are creating new computer programming languages like every day. It's absolutely ridiculous. And if we just worked together and had one good system that worked, but there's a lot of tools that need to come together. And frankly, all the tools will merge into one. All the software will merge into one unified system where instead of having so many different applications, your operating system sort of is this omni program that does everything, and it's built up of all the little modules that are necessary to make it work. And once that happens, you'll be able to customize your software and essentially design your own applications. Instead of using Photoshop, you build your own Photoshop. Now you can go and download the default photo editor, and then you can add little add-ons to it to kind of beef it up and add your background remover tool and whatever. And so like it'll all be modular, and you can pick whatever you want, and it'll be a nice happy place in the future. And all of this has already happened in the future. We're just reliving the game, and the game is bad. And I don't know if it's because the admin who's running the show is bad, or if I don't know what is going on. Obviously, like I'm just a person here struggling to make any money at all. Like that's all I want, is to learn how to make a little bit of money on my own. And I mean, I guess there's a lot of people struggling to do it, and it's not that easy. And these days I've tried to stay away from the cannabis. I still drink coffee. I didn't today, like it doesn't actually help that much anymore. I gave up coffee for like 4 months a couple months ago, and it was pretty miserable. Like I just had no motivation to do anything. But I mean, I'd have no motivation to do anything when I'm drinking coffee. So it's just kind of like it's a trap. I'm fucking trapped. I give up. I want out. Like I've been praying. I don't know if there's a God. If there is a God, please let me out of this stupid fucking life. It is so miserable. But obviously, if there's a God with any amount of power or, understanding of anything, at least as it pertains to me, they would know that. They would know how miserable my life is, and that I've been asking to get hit by a bus every day for the past, after decades of hating your life and being forced to just smile and keep going because that's what we have to do, like just get up and keep doing your bullshit. It's so fucking stupid, man. It is so stupid. When I talked to my dad yesterday, and he's so belligerent and ignorant when it comes to my problems, it's like he doesn't understand it at all. He doesn't understand how anyone could possibly feel this way. He thinks life is this wonderful place, and it's like he drinks more than I do, and Well, anyway, it was a 30-minute video, and if I keep going, it'll be too long for. Well, it's not too long to upload, but I might decide not to upload it. The end, finishing these long scatterbrained videos is always part of my problem. Is by the time I'm done talking, I'm like, nah, that's shit. I'm not gonna upload it. I have literally hours and hours and hours and hours of me talking to my computer and not uploading it. And it's not worth watching. It's like basically just me reiterating all these same things I've been talking about. But there's a lot to be said about all those little things. And I don't know, maybe someday I'll be a real person and have any amount of power to do anything at all. It's like when the system, this rigged system, unlocks the door for me, then I will succeed. And I've been trying my ass off my entire life to succeed at anything and failing miserably at everything. I don't think it's a lack of intelligence or capability or anything. I think the system's rigged. I think that if they wanted me to succeed, I'd succeed. And they're not giving me the right, button to push, and so I can't push it. My hands are tied. I'm getting blocked, like at every angle. I finally decided to just start posting shitty videos because I'm incapable of editing something I'm incapable of editing. And it's just that I get stuck in the, what video, what topic. I posted a video, I think it's on this channel, about free will and determinism. It's like one of the most important ideas that I was never taught. It's a 100-year-old idea, at least well established, like free will versus determinism. Go look it up. It basically is this idea that either everything are just following all the matter, all of the things in the universe, all of the particles, atoms, energy follow the laws of physics, and if they follow the laws of physics, they're deterministic, and that means that everything just is doing what it's supposed to. It's more of a calculation. Nothing deviates from that predestined course, all the way down to your brain and your spirit and whatever's inside your spirit. They're all just following the laws, because what else is there? Randomness is a logical impossibility. That's one's a little harder to tackle, but I could try and dig through my brain and figure out. But I've come to the conclusion before that, like, how do you have something that's actually random? Random means that it doesn't happen for any known reason. It just actually is completely random. And you could say, like, oh, a coin flip is random. It's like, no, a coin flip is not random. Coin flip is based on how hard you flip the coin and whether it flips an odd or even number of times, and of course how you catch it and whether it bounces and all of these things. And it's highly variable, or there's a high amount of volatility to the way the coin, how many times it flips. You obviously can't control how many times it flips in the air, and so it has this appearance of being random because we don't have a control over it. However, it's not really random. You could theoretically get a computer, a robot, to flip a coin and have it land. Probably need to be a soft surface to cushion the landing and not let it bounce, but you could get it to flip the same way every time and make it deterministic. And so, anyway, it's a long, silly argument, and it seems to be designed so that, it's kind of a fruitless argument. Like, once you figure it out, it's like, yeah, well, so what? It's kind of just useless, and there's no real conclusion that can be made from it. And frankly, you can't really conclude either way. It's either free will is an illusion or it's a miracle, and we don't really know. I guess it could be somewhere in between, where it's like this partial illusion and partially random and partially some divine being that's like trying to guide us or something. I don't know. It's weird. Existence is weird, but I highly regret living this life. I told my dad yesterday, if I had a choice to live this life again, never in a million years. If I had a chance to relive another life on this planet, never in a million years. Whoever's, I think there absolutely has to be an intelligent, it's unlikely it's a being. I don't think God, or at least the God of our planet here, is Well, it could be a being. All right, the defining what God is, there's a lot of levels to, from the omnipotent creator of time and all things, who created all of matter and maybe created the Big Bang from nothing, but like the question of where that person came from or what was here originally is just one of these paradoxes that you can't figure out. Now, something obviously exists and has been likely evolving for billions or trillions of years, and so what we have here could have been created by some guy by pushing a button. He bought like a Big Bang machine and he pushed the button and bam, now there's a Big Bang. And is that guy God, the omnipotent creator of time and all things, worthy of our worship and, devotion? Not necessarily. There's a lot of levels in between. And so somebody could be like an admin of Earth and maybe the universe and all of the protons and neutrons and electrons that make up all the things that, exist are, under the domain of this admin computer system, a simulator. Maybe it's real, maybe it's computerized and digital. It doesn't really matter at this point. It is what it is. It's, seems real enough, so I'll take it as real. But how did I get going on this whole God thing? I was trying to say something about God and whether he was a being or not. Well, I was trying to say that, in my opinion, there's most definitely a system, a designer, and an admin. Maybe not the same person, or like even the same level in terms of the hierarchy of like how involved they were in designing and administering this thing. But I do think, you could call it God, but I don't think it's the omnipotent creator of all things. I think that there's maybe a group of humans that lived on into the future and decided to like go colonize Earth and revert back to a more primitive way. Maybe something like that. In that case, maybe there isn't something that's under, that's controlling all of the particles and atoms. But at a spiritual level, it seems like there's definitely a spiritual mystery going on here. We have something deeper than just brain tissue behind our eyes. Like, if you think that you're just a brain and a body and there's nothing else, like, you're at least electricity, but you're not just dumb electricity like from the wall. Like, a computer is dumb electricity. You can take a hammer to a computer and it's not going to feel anything. It doesn't actually think anything. It's just processing ones and zeros. We know this, right? You can make a computer with wires and batteries and shit. And humans in real life are these thinking, seeing, breathing, feeling organisms with spirits inside your brain that do the thinking and feeling and experiencing, and we don't know exactly how that works. It does seem like kind of like a video game, like we're some kind of spirit that's, riding, driving, or whatever this body. And so this is my life. It's absolutely fucking miserable. I'm tormented by these ideas of reality and existence and why I fail so hard at everything. And I want to do something useful with my life. I want to help people. I think that with any amount of money, I could get started building stuff. I would need a team of people to build websites and software that help, businesses and humanity. Like a better Wikipedia, a better YouTube, better Facebook. How about government software that like you can log in and manage your taxes and vote on shit and make decisions and make the world a better place? It's all like, it's literally common sense. It's so stupid that some of these things don't exist yet. And it's like, oh, well, why don't you go do it? I've been fucking trying to do it for 20 years. And I should have been able to do it by now if this life wasn't rigged. That's the problem. Is it's like, I mean, in some ways I've gotten a lot of help. The cannabis tapped me into some sort of spiritual connection where I was able to receive good ideas at light speed. Like they would just download all this like crazy good ideas, all these ideas, visions about software and how it could be better, and like, you know, it would just all made a lot of sense. The light bulb was turned on. That creative energy flowed. God, I love, you know, getting in the zone. And cannabis was definitely the most powerful, the coffee was a small part of it. Definitely helped the cannabis. They kind of worked together. They also, in conjunction, combination, would fry my brain. It would feel fried. It would literally kind of almost have like a burnt sensation and often get tingly and just kind of like worn out. I've gotten this cough that I've had this cough for like a year. It might be something COVID related. It might be something from vaping. I stopped vaping, I vaped like a couple times in the past year. Like I really almost gave it up entirely. I was using edibles that seemed to actually make it worse also. My diet, like when I eat, my lung acts up. It's weird. It's like it's not just a lung thing, it's like a metabolism thing, and there must be some sort of something going on in there. I was kind of hoping it was lung cancer, but they did a scan and said that it wasn't. But yeah, so I don't know, guys. Nobody's ever going to watch this 42-minute video. I feel like, well, so why don't I just go through the whole bit and talk about the Messiah complex? So like the Messiah is, the savior, and people think like Trump's the Messiah or Elon's the Messiah, and it's like, do I believe that Jesus was a Messiah? He could have been. I don't really know, how you would absolutely categorize that as either being yes or no. It's like we're all inspired by some spiritual forces, and are some people inspired more? But then it's like, you're taking away their credit for their accomplishments if they're inspired, if the, ideas and all of their kind of success is coming from a spiritual level and it's being gifted to them, like, but there's absolutely people who walk through life and just win without effort. And it's like there's people who like go to the gym once a year and just look shredded, and it's like, they pick up a basketball and just shoot lights out like without practicing. It's like there's crazy shit in it's so unfair. And anyway, the whole idea of a Messiah is like, the chosen one, Neo, Superman. It's kind of like if life were a video game, that would be the whole point of the game, right? Like you become, you level up and become the Messiah. I mean, I kind of thought at some point that maybe I'd get superpowers at some point, like, that was the point of life. Like, my life was so miserable for so long that I thought like there's no possible other way to like rectify the shit of this whole situation, is like I must get superpowers at some point. And then I thought maybe my superpowers are just to like, learn web development and make videos or something. And I want to make good videos. I've thought about hiring editors to make better videos. I do graphic design and I would say I have an eye for design because I've done so much graphic design. Not professionally, it's more like a hobby, but like I've gotten pretty good at user interface and websites and layouts and, typography and all that stuff. And when it comes to video and motion graphics, it's an infinite space to explore and perfect and make money, and I want to, and my hands are tied. I've thought about trying. Well, so when you go and hire somebody, you got to have a very clear idea of like what you're going to do. You kind of have to have a client in mind already, and I don't have these things. And like I've thought about trying to make advertisements, and my wife just sent me a text, said, "Can you get the treadmill inside?" She ordered a treadmill, and it's I think that's what the noise just was. Somebody was banging around outside. The one thing that I do have here is this empty house to rant to my camera for 45 minutes, and I wouldn't be able to do this video without a quiet, personal space, because I couldn't talk freely like this if other people were listening and judging me. I've tried, and it's so weird when the kids or my wife are around. Like, I can't talk like this to my phone because I know they're listening and they're judging, and they're like, so it is literally impossible. Like, I just can't do it. So, where was I? I had a pretty big, you could say I have a Messiah complex. It's like, do I believe I'm the Messiah? It's like, I sort of thought maybe that life was a game, and, one day we wake up from it, but the whole point of the game is that you kind of go from being an ordinary person to becoming like some more superheroic type person. And Elon Musk is by all means a superhero. Like, he's one of a kind. He's the only one who's done what he's done. You could say like Mark Zuckerberg and some of the other guys who've started, big companies. Steve Jobs was, amazing person. There's a lot of people who have a lot of talent, and Elon and Steve Jobs, and they're not the most talented people even. They're just they were just very talented at what they did, which was organize companies and put their money to use and take risks. But yeah, there's other people. There's a lot of people out there who are massively talented, who have so much talent that, in different ways, that the rich, successful, famous people couldn't even compare to. And so that kind of talent isn't, it's not like the most successful people are the most talented. It's just that they're have the right skill set and maybe a little bit of luck. They're in the right place at the right time. Like, Elon was able to make all that money with PayPal early on, and so that gave him the opportunity to explore SpaceX and all these other things. And so it's if he hadn't had the money to get started, and he had all those ideas to do SpaceX and whatever, obviously the money factor was a huge thing. But like, it takes money to make money, right? Well, that was the whole idea of web development, is that you can do it with your computer or video. You can do it with cheap, inexpensive equipment. And so, by all means, I should have been able to succeed by now. I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Stuart Smalley, right? Some SNL skit from back in the day. Anyway, yeah, I think I could save the world. My Twitter profile handle is Fix the Web, Fix the World. If we had an ounce of truth, we have so much misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. People are just lying through their teeth, spending millions, billions of dollars making all this stupid shit, and the government is paying for a lot of it. Like, we, the people, are getting hosed, and it's pretty sad. And I don't know, I think maybe like it is a one-player game, and I was supposed to save the world, and I just failed at it, and now I just have like this crushing misery to deal with for the rest of my life. And like, that's maybe, like, if you're playing a game and it's halftime and you're just getting destroyed, you still have to finish the game. You can't just like leave. That's pretty embarrassing, right? So I guess that's my life. Is there anything else I could share in this 49-minute video? Just give up. It's not worth it. Like, I thought, as I first started thinking about suicide, I thought, like, after first few years of kind of just hating life so much and thinking about it and thinking, okay, I should do it, and trying and failing and trying and failing, and it's like, if I would have just done it already, I wouldn't have to be thinking this again. That's the big joke about suicide, is like, The more you think about killing yourself, the more you just like hate the idea of even thinking about it. It's like, Jesus Christ, like it's so bad. It's so miserable. It's Now I would say that life has amazing graphics, all this haptic feedback, very immersive, the controls are pretty like responsive. I like playing video games. And life is like the best video game you could ever imagine in terms of like the experience. It's virtual reality, right? And frankly, there's so much opportunity, economic opportunity in life, you'd think that it's like, worth playing. And I think that's why in the real world I got suckered into playing this game, is because I didn't realize that it was rigged. I don't know if there's people cheating and that they actually do have like admin controls. And I mean, that's what I'm just trying to say, is like, that's what it feels like. I mean, it doesn't feel like I have zero chance. I often have hope and try and get back into the driver's seat and take charge and do something with my life. But having done that, fallen off the horse, you get back on the horse, as they say, and you do that like year after year. Well, it's day after day, week after week, year after year. It gets exhausting, and then you just start, at some point, it's like, when do you just give up and be like, fuck this, it's not going to happen? I've tried to push through because the work that I've been working on is actually pretty, in a lot of ways seems useful. But okay, so here's another crazy thing that's just like, I can't seem to figure this out. Very common recurring thought is that we have so much crazy advanced stuff in our world. There's so many crazy smart people that we have in our world. And yet all of the shortcomings of all of our systems that I see are pretty simple and obvious. And it's like, all right, so the best way I can explain this and why I think it's happening is that, it's like, okay, take DaVinci Resolve as this free video editor, for example. And it must be, a huge team of developers to make a video editor with that amount of sophistication. But it lacks in a lot of simple ways. And it's like, I don't want to get into the details, but it's like, if you have this program that's so complex and has all these color grading and compositing and effects and so much crazy complexity, how do you fail at some of the like simplest tasks? Why is it so hard to do something that should be so easy? And all software seems to fail at certain simple things. And it's like, well, you're expecting perfection out of something that's, extremely advanced and complex and way out of my league to begin with, to, be judging something, that I could only dream of accomplishing is kind of maybe not fair. So absolutely. And I guess the other thing that I would say is like, to make DaVinci, to have the opportunity to make DaVinci Resolve better, you have to first have like a program to start with. Like, you have to get to the starting point means you have to have gone, run a million marathons. And so there's only very, very, very few people, very few programs that are, teams that have this opportunity. I mean, now granted, these days, like I said, there's millions and millions of startups and unicorns. Most of them try and fail. So like, they don't actually get a fair chance to do what they set out to do because they run out of money and realize that it's a trap. Like, it shouldn't be that hard to make software. But when it comes time to hiring the developers and planning it all out and picking all the technology and writing the code, getting started's not so hard. Making some progress isn't so hard, but then making all the tough decisions and actually like getting the shit done, and sometimes you got to like start over and make hard decisions about, do we scrap this or scrap that or completely do something different or give up? And Google and all these big tech companies, man, they love putting projects to rest. The Google Graveyard is a cool site where it's like there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Google projects. They just like, we're not going to do it anymore, because well, most big technology things, it's like there's like an initial inspiration that births the idea, and then it just stops. It stagnates. It's like if you look at YouTube, at Gmail, like Google search, any of the big things. I mean, Google has stolen the whole AI idea, and they didn't implement it very well. It's like they just put it at the top of their search engine instead of like integrating it and actually letting it, well, having an adaptive interface to show you the things that you want to see rather than just, generating some little script. Anyway, YouTube and Gmail and search and all these things, they're the same they've always been. Like, they don't adapt. They don't like improve and grow. I mean, mildly, subtly, very slightly so that the, get little feature improvements. But Gmail is generally the same application that, it was 20 years ago. And, Google Docs and Sheets, and they're all kind of the same thing. It's crazy how these things, they get the initial momentum. Somebody's got the idea, they have the motivation to see it through, and then once it's done, it's kind of like, yeah, we could try and make it better, but that's a lot of work, and it's exhausting. And so like it's this weird, it's motivation madness. It's like it's part of the bullshit of life. It's rigged. Sometimes we have motivation, but most of the time we don't. I don't know, maybe like our ancestral spirit has mustered up every last penny of spiritual energy it has and gives it to us to make a holy grail effort to, do something worthwhile. And maybe instead of it being rigged, it's like some sort of, sacred like opportunity or something that you get sometimes and then it's not there other times. I doubt it, but maybe. I don't know. It's not really worth thinking about anymore. I think, I mean, like my dad says, life is, existence in itself is a paradox. It's crazy. It's a miracle. And I do have crazy opportunity. The problem is like, it feels so rigged. Like I know that there's some sort of spiritual fuckery going on because I sense it. I feel it all the time. I get these messages that come from the spiritual realm, and they only help me a little bit sometimes. And I highly doubt it's because they just don't have the capacity to help me more. It's probably more like, okay, there's rules of the system. God and the devil and all of the angels and demons and ancestors that have come before us. Like it's some sort of like elaborate game, and they like, rule over the people, and they decide, what's allowed and what's not allowed or something. That's what it feels like. It feels like I'm not allowed to succeed. So, and I've been kind of waiting for them to unlock the door. Like I'm ready to make a web operating system, make a web design and development company, video marketing, social media management, software, social networks, like business software. One of the first companies I worked for was businesssoftware.com. Startups, helping people, like I want to help people be successful, and it shouldn't be so hard. Revolutionizing all of the things that we do, from building systems. Like I've done a lot of DIY construction stuff, and the building systems we use are absolutely terrible. There's a lot of innovation that happens, but like it's just so slow to adopt, and all the codes, and like you just have to. It's just a big like hierarchical like resistance, I guess. And this happens in academia and corporate, and like the people like claw and grasp onto their power and then box everyone out and be like, don't even fucking think about coming near me. I fought my whole life to get to where I am. But then that's partly why everything just stagnates. Like nothing happens because everyone's just kind of like holding on for dear life and not doing anything. And anyway, building systems, we can make much better building systems. Like if Elon tried to build houses, the world would be a better place. government systems, government software, like managing the people, paying taxes, like, helping people, like getting people help. Taxing and like printing money are like these kind of the similar ideas and things that we have to do to a certain extent. But right now, our government is so corrupt to the order of hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars every single year are being stolen from the American people. Everybody knows it. I'm not sure why all the smart, successful people are okay with it. It's probably because they're smart and successful and have their cushy lifestyle and are like, fuck it, why, what am I going to do about it, right? Like, that's actually the thing. Thankfully, there are some, smart people like Donald Trump and JD Vance and Elon Musk that are doing something about it, so that's good, but we can only hope that they actually sort that shit out. And education system, man. The education system could be, well, if you look at the shit show that is YouTube, there is so much disorganized content all over YouTube. And so it's like people are just working their asses off, creating all this content. I mean, most people are hiring editors, so it's like we're outsourcing all this, and these, overseas editors are getting all the experience editing and, weaving together these audio visual stories, and that's crazy. But it's like so temporal. It's like these content creators are just churning. The only way to succeed on social media is to just pump content and try and, make it better and flashier and faster and whatever. And so they're just, making like, one a week, like pumping these videos out. And some of them do good, and sometimes, they'll last, they'll survive in the algorithm for a while, and people like it serves a good function, and people see it. And I mean, even the lesser popular ones, maybe some people watch at some point if they're it's sort of like the search engine aspect of YouTube. There definitely is some search engine value where you search for something, you find the video, you watch a cool story about it. That's awesome. But there's so much content being buried in YouTube because it's not organized properly. It's like if you do any search on YouTube for anything, there's pages, hundreds, if not thousands of pages worth of videos about anything. And most of it, nobody's ever going to see. Like this video, nobody's ever going to see. And so that's sad. But anyway, so if you wanted to fix the video, the content, number one, you need to have streaming web video. This is an idea that's like, it's essentially just a file. A video is just a file. But the video file needs to have all of the assets, all the images, all the audio, everything in editable format. Crunching it all down into this big compressed like blob that, you can't separate again is just madness. It's literally stupid. Can't be edited. It's just, we have multiple copies and formats of all these videos all over the place just because like the whole system is broken. Well, it's just not optimized. It's kind of like a legacy thing that's slowly evolving, and we haven't kind of gotten past the bullshit. But it's basically vector video. You need, and the only thing, that we have that's vector video right now is either like an After Effects, like a motion graphics program that stores all that vector animation data, or something like a web animation where it's like JavaScript scripting that controls the vectors. But anyway, obviously, vector video, you can't have the whole video be a vector file. That wouldn't work. You need to have actual pixels, but you can embed it all into, like a web video file format could exist that's essentially just a web module, just like a script that imports all the things and sets it all up to play. You'd have to have a timeline system to play the thing back. So I've thought long and hard about that, but it's like I get the inspiration to write all the notes down, plan it all out to about halfway, and then it just gets really fuzzy, and I hit that locked door, and it's like, come on, guys, like, I'm here, I want to do the fucking work, unlock the goddamn door so I can do it. I'm ready to walk through the door, don't blame me for my lack of success. I'm sitting here trying to do the shit, and you won't let me succeed. And it's not because of me, my effort, My capability's there. I'm capable of doing it, just not all the time because you locked the fucking door. It's spiritually rigged. I promise you. It's spiritually rigged. It's absolute bullshit the way that my brain works. You know, I can fly up to a certain point, then there's a cutoff point, and it's like, oh, every time I get in the zone and I start taking notes, there's like I can feel it. It's not necessarily like absolutely abrupt, but it's like, okay, a very steep fall off from like, okay, the ideas were flowing and now they're not. And it's bullshit. And I can sit there and like try and get back in the zone, and every once in a while, like a little bit more will come through, but it's like a trickle. It's sort of like a keg, you know, when the thing is empty and it starts dripping, it's like you can get a little more out of there, but it's not worth waiting around for. So web video formats are fucking awesome because, well, it's just efficiency. Smaller video sizes. Okay, if you had one image on, you know, the screen, like a PowerPoint or something in a video format, like that video is, you know, it does a pretty good job of encoding it and reducing the size of it. But if you had it doesn't encode the image as like an image. That's what it is. Like instead it's encoding like all the frames per second and trying to figure out a way to condense them down into a smaller size, even though they're not moving. Anyway, the point is keeping the all the video assets, all the audio visual stuff in its layers in a composable format is way smarter, and it would be deliverable in an optimized way. Like you could keep the video at a lower resolution but have the vector graphics at their perfect, you know, crisp resolution, because that's just the way it is. You could have like, you know, responsive videos, another great, you know, improvement. Instead of having to choose whether to do like landscape or portrait, you could have responsive videos so that, you know, the vector graphics, just like web graphics, could respond and you could still have video. Now the video would have to crop, so you'd probably have to have more like, you know, headroom so that it could crop in either direction easier. But anyway, so web video is like, you know, that's a minor improvement. You can do most of what you could do already. It's just be a minor improvement. But the organization of the information, we can massively improve. So like between Google, Wikipedia, AI, YouTube, social media, there's content. There's this abundance of content all over the place, and it's so scattered and disorganized. So like if you were interested in anything, pick anything, video production, like nanotechnology, CNC machines, like whatever the fuck you're into, there's content on all of those, you know, it's everywhere, and there's so much of it, and it's all disorganized, and everyone's just kind of like running in different directions. And there's not necessarily an easy answer to that, although, I mean, there sort of is. You just kind of need like it's almost like a Reddit channel, or you need like one primary source. And right now, Google search is like the main point that people use, and like Wikipedia is not really good enough at aggregating all of the social media, YouTube, all the content from everywhere to be like the go-to place. I mean, that's basically what it is. There needs to be a go-to place for all the topics. So every single topic is, like a page, but it's like a hub, like a, you know, organizational user interface. Yeah, it's like a web page that organizes all the content. And so any term, it's like Wikipedia, like any term, any potential term, you know, like you just have a page for it. But then you have to organize all those pages, and it's like it's a web of interconnected ideas. And so figuring out like how to structure all that and how to tag it and how to show like, is this web development or JavaScript or something in between, or Node, or like, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that things could be organized, and you can slice it. And anyway, content organization is, well, so if you use a program like Notion and you take a lot of notes, you probably have the problem of figuring out where to put them and how to organize them and how to find them. Jesus, why is my cough so bad this morning? All right, so improving the education system is basically the same thing as improving this Wikipedia, search, AI, YouTube, social media, content, topics, organizing all of the things. Okay, so for each topic, each person should have a level. Okay, this is a crazy cool idea. User topic level. And it's basically like, okay, I am me, topic is JavaScript, what's my level? How about politics or biology or psychology or anything? Like, you pick a topic, no matter how detailed or broad or whatever, and that level could basically be a aggregate of like experience or participation and success and like whatever, like, you know, how proficient or experienced you are in that area. And so it's just kind of like, you know, people can become experts in their field, and there are experts in every field, but like, we don't actually know how expert you are unless you're like really into that field and know. And so it would be useful to know. And so the whole idea of a meritocracy, where people are judged and evaluated and scored and represented kind of publicly based on their actual skill level, is important. And we don't have that in academia right now. In fact, the whole college system is so broken. I'm not real familiar with it. I went to college, I graduated, I didn't do well. My GPA was shit. I hated it. I didn't go to class. I literally never went to class except for the one public speaking class where I was forced to attend. And like, you'd fail if you had more than like 2 unexcused absences. Was crazy. But like, I didn't get anything out of college. Like, I literally shouldn't have gone. It cost me, after all of the deferring of my interest, because I didn't have a job to pay for the, you know, well, I didn't want to make my wife, like, tap into my wife's income, you know, like, I make her pay for my student loans as I'm being a bum, you know, trying to make websites at home. Like, I wasn't making money. And so I just kept deferring my loans. Like, I'm going to figure this out later. Like, I'm trying to make some money. Like, I need to hit a ball out of the park here. And when I do, I'll just pay it all off. That's kind of what I expected or hoped for or whatever. Anyway, a lot of deferred interest turned my, maybe, I would guess, with all the money my mom borrowed and, you know, my uncles helped out a bunch, probably $200,000+ for a garbage education. And I mean, it was partly my fault, I guess. It's not like, I mean, I went to University of Missouri. Even if I would have done my best and gotten straight A's, it's not, I don't know if it would have helped that much. Well, I'm sure it would have helped get a job, but like, I couldn't get a job. I had a 2.7 GPA, and so I sort of barely graduated, to be honest. But it didn't help any. I mean, I don't think the GPA actually mattered. Like, nobody really asked for it. I didn't put it on my resume, obviously, and nobody asked for it. So like, I don't think that really mattered that much. Anyway, so college was shit, but it's sort of more for the experience, right? But I didn't enjoy the experience either. I just smoked a lot of weed to escape from life and couldn't get a girlfriend and couldn't get any girls to talk to me despite throwing myself out there repeatedly. And that was just miserable. It was just like, well, the whole experience of life has just been absolute garbage. Like, embarrassing, depressing, uncomfortable, just really bad. And, well, I mean, porn is awesome, and like, that's weird because like, it's too easy and too enjoyable. And so that's a whole nother topic for another discussion. But probably a big problem that we're overlooking as a society is that our sexual nature is just so I don't want to say mysterious, but it is sort of. It's like, we don't talk about it. You know, we all wear clothes to hide our private parts, and we all like secretly want to have sex but aren't willing to admit it, or, you know, I don't know. It's weird. And, well, and all the pedophilia and child abuse, and there's a lot of crazy shit going on in our world. But I was trying to talk about the future of education, and the future of education is absolutely the same thing as fixing the internet. Getting all of the information, extract all, you don't have to extract it, but instead of publishing and putting all this information in textbooks and in online courses on all these different platforms and on YouTube and on, you know, some guy's blog, and some, it's like it's madness. It's actual madness. And once we get to the point where we centralize all the information, and people can still have all their, like, people can still publish stuff and get credit and make money. That's like the beauty of life, is you should be able to put some ideas down, make a quick video, and be like, people be like, yeah, good job, that's cool, and then you're rich, and then you go to Disney World or whatever. And right now it's a shit show, and it's stupid, and it's bad, and we need to figure out how to help people get on their feet. Well, obviously you want people to be productive, like working towards something that's useful. And it's like, there's so many engineers that are like jobless, and it's like, because there's nothing to invent. I mean, there's no, buildings to fix or bridges to build or whatever. It's like, there's tons of stuff. There's infinite, amount of work to be done. It's just the economy sucks at finding the things that need to be done. Well, I shouldn't say it sucks. It actually does a pretty damn good job. It works pretty well. Bridges don't get built unless there's, need for them. And so, but it's too hard for a lot of people to succeed. And I'm not saying, we need government jobs where people are doing like busy work is not really a good idea either. But, finding activities that people can participate in, even if it's like basketball, like at sports, people could get paid to do sports. Why the fuck not? Makes them healthier, gets them active. It's good for them. It's good for everyone. Instead of having to pay money to join a league, this is one thing that the government could do to pay people to play sports. Why? It's not economic benefit, but it's like, who the fuck cares? Print money to pay people to play sports. Why the fuck not? Right? Like, it's not inflationary if everyone can do it. And then the only side effect of that is everyone starts playing sports. I mean, is it inflationary? Like, I guess if you reach an economy of abundance where everyone has what they need, it could be mildly inflationary. Well, I guess it would be, unless you kind of like you might need ways to stabilize things. And so like, if everyone has more than enough money, then everyone's gonna, all the suppliers are just going to try and charge more for everything because they can. So, yeah, you can't necessarily inflate things too much, but I don't know. I studied economics in school. I didn't do well at it, as I told you, but I think our world is struggling. I think, so the cat's tail is a curve that I was never actually taught in economics. I don't remember it anyway. I Googled it. I was trying to figure out the name of this curve. And it's basically like the income distribution curve for, this is the percentile from 0 to 100% of, let's say, Americans and their incomes. And it looks like this. So you have the flat line from 0 to like 90% is this like very gradually rising, somewhere you have the median and mode I always get confused with. They're just fucking similar and stupid ideas. But anyway, you have this heel. My cat walks around with its tail straight up like that. So it always kind of reminded me of the cat's tail going straight up. But it's also like, I thought of this as like a heel because it's, if you imagine a foot, it's like God's foot stepping on all of us, holding us all down. And this would be the heel. Anyway, it's a very interesting thing because I didn't learn this, and I feel like it's probably one of these like hidden knowledge things where the idea of inequality and income distribution is a bad term because it makes you think that income should be redistributed or something, and that's definitely not the case. Anyone who thinks that you should need to tax the rich more, that the government doesn't have enough money, is actually fucking retarded, okay? Like, I'm sorry, but it's just, that is the worst idea. Kevin, my little brother, thinks that, wealthy people should be taxed at like 80% or something, that it should be illegal to be a billionaire, that nobody should have that much money. It's like, holy fuck, man. All right, I'm getting off topic. Let's get back to this curve here. It's, Jordan Peterson talks about, it's sort of like the Pareto distribution. 80-20 rule is that like I'm not going to phrase that properly to make sense here, but generally speaking, if the best way to think about it is with income distributions, the 90 percentile, 90% of the population are like making, this amount of money. And then at some point you have this crazy like blast off effect where like, okay, now incomes start to grow and they're growing exponentially, and like, going from like the 90th percentile to the 100th percentile is this massive exponential, blast off. And this happens with like, talent, musicians. And if you think about all the actors and actresses and all the, celebrities, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of them competing, and only, a few of them getting massively famous. And companies do the same thing, and incomes do the same thing. And so income distribution is definitely not the idea. I think that inequality is okay and natural and good. Like, you want to have a tiered, wealth system where some people have less than other people, and you need to have incentives to try hard and to work hard. But I do think you can have a cushion for people to fall on. The problem with the cushion is that then people get lazy. Like, if you get paid if you have everything that you need and all you need to do is play video games each day, that's what you're going to do. You're just going to be like, fuck it, it's too hard to do anything else. And that's kind of like the story of my life, is like, not that I've only been playing video games, but sometimes I'll just give up and be like, fuck it, I don't feel like working on anything today. Now, I don't have a job right now. I've actually tried to get jobs. I haven't spent the amount of effort needed to get one, because I've always hated that process. That's another thing that we can fix in the world, is like, we're all slaves to these goddamn employers, and it's fucking bullshit, and it feels like another one of these very fishy, it's rigged. It's like, if you buy the employer, package, like, you're allowed to like start a business and hire people. And if you're a guy like me trying to like make it on his own, like, there's just this big foot of, God holding you back, is what it feels like. I mean, I've hired people on Upwork and Fiverr, and you just piss away money and you don't get like, it's like it's decent quality, but it's not it's not going to make you the money back. And so then it's like, fuck, I gotta think this through and figure out how to actually make the money. And well, this is a long video, and I think, the thought pops into my head as I'm recording this that like, hey, maybe someday somebody will watch this and be like, yeah, that was Michael Lewis in his, struggling years, and wow, that's raw, and, he's just laying it on the line, and we're getting inside his head, and, what he's saying is true, and like, maybe people could relate. But in all honesty, I'm going to kill myself, and nobody's ever going to watch this, and life sucks. So fuck you.